Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Bhad Paramahansa, Dravida Prabhu, Ashtotar, the Srimad Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Dravida Prabhu, Ashtotar, the Srimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Shri Upadeshamrita ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So you probably don't have the book.
Not with me.
Do you have a...
I don't think I have a copy. I have Nectar of Devotion.
Okay. We have some here, I think. Do you have an iPhone or something like that? All right. So later after class, I'll put all the books on there for you. Why not? I said so I got to do it. I sit in front of the deities. Okay. All right. He had to do something. I don't know if you guys want to sit together. We're going to chant this verse. He doesn't have anything. It's a no. No reader. He himself is the reader. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so on this 21st day of January, 2019, in SanDiego, we're reading from Sri Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Devotion, by Srila Rupa Goswami, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are now in text number 9. It's a long one. It's the same meter as the 6 Goswami song. We're on number 9. Yeah. Vaikuntach. Got it? Oh boy, battery's going, huh? You need my phone? I mean, you're okay? Okay. Yeah, Vaikunta Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Para Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vrindaran Nimodharapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhana. Vrindaran Nimodharapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhana. Radha Kundamihapi Gokalapate Premamita Plavanat. Kundamihapi Gokalapate Premamita Plavanat. Koyad Asavirajato Giditate Sevam Viveki Naka. Virajato Giditate Sevam Viveki. All right, we'll chant it three times together and then I'll read the translation. Vaikunta Janito Vara Madhupadi Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vaikunta Janito Vara Madhupadi Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vrindaran Nimudarpani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhana. Ramudarpani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhana. Radha Kundamihapi Gokalapate Premamita Plavanat. Kundamihapi Gokalapate Premamita Plavanat. Koyad Asavirajato Giditate Sevam Viveki Naka. Yad Asavirajato Giditate Sevam Viveki. Good. Translation. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prem of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kunda, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? Purport. The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. The interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadasha Vana, such as Talavan, Madhuvan, and Bahulavan, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura. But superior to these forests is the divine Govardhan Hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Braj, from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radha Kunda, at the foot of Govardhan, is superior to all because it is there that love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radhakund because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani, Rati Vilas. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Vrajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakund. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Radhakund. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees, headed first by the 6 Goswamis, such as Rupa and Raghunath Das. Presently, there is a large lake known as Radhakund there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radha Kund. Thus, Radha Kund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this Upadeshamrita is designed to be about as concise as it could possibly be, but it's meant to take us from the first step of devotion all the way to the highest levels of Gopi Prema. And that's why we're hearing so much about Radha Kund, and these last 3 verses will emphasize that. So it begins with really picking a guru, because this is the very first recommendation of Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Devotion, Adau Gurvashraya. The first principle is to take shelter of a guru. Why is that? Because in our conditioned state, we're completely ignorant. We're completely covered by the modes of nature. And we have no idea who we are, what the goal of life is, where real pleasure lies, where real safety lies. We're just like blind. There's a verse like that in the Namashtaka. It says, Yala bhaso pyudyan kabalita bhavadvanta vibhavo gasham tatvandhanam abhidishati bhakti pranahinim. It says there that the holy name is just like the sun in the sky. And even a dim reflection, a little reflection of that name, a slight shining, just like when the sun's starting to come over the sunrise is coming, but it hasn't really peeked over the horizon yet. Suddenly the light is in the sky. Even that abhas, like we heard of namabhas. Namabhas means the first reflection of pure chanting, but you have a long way to go, but it's still very potent. So yadabhaso pyudyan, even that beginning hint of the sunrise, or the rise of the holy name in the heart of purity, completely devours the prowess of Maya, the darkness of Maya. It's very poetic. Kabalita bhava dvanta. Dvanta is darkness, bhava is birth and death, Maya. And kabalita means to swallow up. Just like the sun coming up completely swallows up the darkness even before it rises. Kabalita bhava dvanta vibhavo, with its power. And drisham tatvandhanam abhidishati bhakti pranahinim. Those who are blind, andha means blind, to the tattva, the truth of who we are, what Krishna is, the relationship, and how to realize that relationship. It gives the eyes, it restores the sight by which we can begin to see the path. But how to, where does the holy name come from? The holy name comes to us through the devotees. This is how we hear the holy name. And the most potent of the chanting is, of course, the pure devotee. So, Srila Prabhupada, when he came to America, he was basically chanting long kirtans, 3 hours in the park with his little bongo drum, and just getting people to chant. Even if they don't know the first thing about the philosophy, if they chant, that opens up the channel so that they're receptive to the philosophy, which is how it worked. And then Prabhupada poured forth, and he found some receptive souls, and everything started. So, the guru is essential as the medium by which Krishna manifests himself in this world and we can become attracted to him. So therefore, it says, Adao Gurvashraya. In the beginning, this is the first of 64 processes of devotional service. In the beginning, take shelter of a guru. So who is that guru? We don't know. So he gives in the first verse a kind of a practical test. I mean, it's meant for us also, but it's meant basically to find someone who you can trust. Vacho vegam manasa kroda vegam. Jiva vegam manaropasta vegam. Etan vegam yopashaheta dira. Sarvam apiyamam pratabingsa shishyat. So he gives these, vega means an urge or a pushing, an impulse to do something. So there's 6 basic pushings or impulses. Let's see, review. Do you know the first 3 there, Janardhan? The pushing of the talking, vacho vegam, words. I remember I got on a bus once. This is a long time in New York, and in New York, when I lived there, at 55th Street Temple, about a year and a third. I was there for the last year of the building, which was 1980, and a few months of 79. And to get around is all subways and buses. I happened to be on a bus, and it was just jabbering. People were just talking like crazy, And of course, some people were alone; they weren't talking. Now in New York, you find people talking themselves a lot. Now we have that here. But I just remembered this first because we used to, when the book came out, I think it came out in '78. But when I got to New York, they were chanting the first 8 verses after every bhagavatam class. So everyone knew those verses. It becomes like programmed in, So vacho vegam, the urging of the talk. So I was very much aware of it, and suddenly it manifested right there, where we have to say something. And we've all had that experience, people just jabbering away, in any kind. It's a big urge. So vacho vegam, and then manasakkorgam, the pushing of the mind, and krodha, anger. So the words, the mind, and anger. These can be powerful and even overpowering, especially anger. If somebody does something, you get so angry that you do things that you later said, "Oh, how did I ever do that? That wasn't me." You know what I mean? So those are very powerful, and of course, it all comes from the conditioned mind. Then there's these physical things, jiva vegam, the desire to taste nice things. We have this huge problem in America, even the whole Western world, with overweight, obesity. Because the demons, they design the food in such a way. There's whole industries that are designing it. Just enough fat, just enough sugar, just enough salt, and mouthfeel and everything, so that they addict you to it. And so you get into all these snacks. You go to one of these supermarkets. I have occasion to go to Ralph's to get some organic kale or something, But I was getting, for a while, I was getting the blueberries in the back, and I would have to walk through the aisles, and I happened to walk down the snack aisle. Oh, both sides, potato chips of all kinds, and this chip and that chip and this thing. Wow, they're there because people are buying them. So they get you addicted to this, and becomes this huge problem with the urge of the tongue, and it's a way to try to deal with your problems, and all this stuff. So people are getting so fat. So that's a big one. Jiva vegam, and Prabhupada points out they run the line. You eat too much, and it fills your belly too much, and belly's full, but it's once more, and then the genitals get agitated. So conditioned souls are always struggling with these. Don't even know about them. It's just me, But these are binding, the soul to this world. So one who can control all of these, he can make disciples all over the world. So this is something you can observe. You can observe someone is very greedy and angry and so forth. Well, I don't want to take initiation from that person. So of course there are so many other qualifications, but this is the first verse. So then he gives a very practical list. The first 2 are like, here's what you have to avoid, because this will destroy your bhakti. Hatyahara priyasascha parjalbo niyamagraha janasangastalaya should be bhakti pranashyati. Nashyati means to destroy. Pranashyati means to completely destroy. So these 6 expand into 8, actually, because several have two meanings. 2 of them have. So atyahara means to consume or eat. So ati means too much, eating too much. And, it's a struggle. I mean, I remember so many years in the ashram, and in those days, these cooks were, some of them, they were trained personally by Prabhupada, and they knew how to make everything. And there was ghee everywhere. Because there was, at that time, there was a big surplus of milk products. And they were looking for, organizations, non-profit, that were doing some, feeding the poor. Well, we did that, and we had unlimited butter we could get. So there's ghee, which is it's a whole different world with ghee and everything. So anyway, that was, I became totally addicted to halva and ladus. I still have a little ladu Jones, but my halva days are over. But that's you've seen me. I didn't get fat, but I got into the 170 range, So. Okay, we have to, it's prasadam, but you have to control, like that. So that's obvious. But then there's over-collecting, that's often the grihastas, have to deal with that. Oh, getting too much this, wanting too much. So over-collecting, overeating. Priyasas means hard labor for material things. That has to be avoided. And prajalpa, which is a big problem. Hearing nonsense talk, speaking nonsense talk. This goes back to the vacho vegam, the pushing of the word. Niyamagraha, that has two meanings. One is to neglect the regular principles of the do's and don'ts of bhakti, which is a real pitfall. And the other is to do them, but without really much attention or much heart, just to go through the motions. To allow oneself for it to become just routine, where they're meant to be all of these processes, from the Mangalarti to the Tulsi Puja to the Japa. I created a new word. You heard about it. Maybe you forgot. You definitely didn't hear about it. Damodar may remember. Mantra Jagri Gukla? Write it down. Mantra Jagri Gukla. MANTUJAGREGUCLA. Can you guess what it means? That's the whole morning program. Mangalarti, Tulsi Puja, Japa, greeting, Guru Puja, and class. See? That was Prabhupada. He set it up. Now, he didn't set it up from day one. That evolved. There was no morning program at first, or optional class in LA. They would come do Harinam all day. They do Harinam after breakfast, get out at 9:30, 10, I guess. I don't know for sure, but this is what I heard. And then they'd come back for lunch, go out again until 6, come back for dinner, and go out again until like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then if they got up by 7, they're really austere, So gradually it evolved, especially when Prabhupada stayed there for 8 months in LA in 1970, I think it was. And that's when he established all of it. First it was Ishopanishad, because they all had the books, And then I think they were able to begin Bhagavatam class. But, the Mangalarti was a big thing. He set it all up during that time. And this morning program comprises the 5 main things. He lists 64 in the Nectar Devotion, Rupa Goswami. And then after he says, and here are the most important 5. If you have even a little attraction for these, you can make great advancement. And you see they're all here in the morning program. The first is chanting the holy name together, obviously. And then to hear Srimad Bhagavatam class, to associate with devotees, to live in a holy place, temples became a holy place, and to worship the deity with faith and veneration. So there's a few devotees who actually get on the altar and do a wonderful job dressing. But being in the kirtan, showing up on time, clean, with clean consciousness, and chanting enthusiastically, that's also deity worship. And in fact, without the kirtan, the altar worship isn't complete. So those 5 are there, and that has the yamagraha. We can't neglect them. If you cut this off, cut that off, come late with this, then you're not going to advance. These destroy devotional service. Or just going through, but not really, just kind of making a show, but not really being there with any heart or any understanding. That's also in the yamagraha. Janasanga, this is bad association. Asatsanga, obviously that has to be given up. What is it? Janasanga is to laulyam, to be greedy, even not to have an opportunity to get material things, but to be greedy for material things, maintain that desire that will restrict and cripple your creeper. Cripple your creeper. You remember that one. So then, now the positive side. Utsahan, those who know this, we can chant together. Utsahan nishchayat, we got to learn these. Utsahan nishchayat dharyat, tat karma pavartanat, sangatyagat sato vritte, shadbhi bhakti prasidyati. Prasidyati means to further and nourish, rather than to destroy. So these are all the good things. Enthusiasm. You got to be enthusiastic, even if you're not enthusiastic in your heart. Act enthusiastic, and Krishna from in your heart will say, "Oh, he wants to be enthusiastic and give you enthusiasm." Nishtayad, but you can't just be a flash in the pan. You have to be patient or determined. Nishtayad is determined. Sorry, and then dharyat is patient. They go together, obviously. You can't be determined without being patient. What's the point of being determined for 5 minutes? Determined means over a period of time. Even when things are difficult, you have to be patient. But in that determined, patient activity, you have to be enthusiastic. For what? In other words, these three qualities adhere or are meaningful in relation to activities, right? Enthusiastic about what? Anybody, randomly enthusiastic. You're enthusiastic to do something and not something else. And if you're working toward a goal, which what Krishna consciousness is all about, it's a sadhana toward a sadhya. Sadhana is the practice. Sadhana is the goal. And therefore there's a set of things to do and things to avoid doing that will take you to the goal. So in the things that you want to do, there has to be enthusiasm and determination to overcome difficulties in those activities, and patience that you may not see immediately any result, but you have to stick with it. And about what? Tat tat karma pavartanat. All of these processes that Rupa Goswami has given for in his other main book, Nectar of Devotion, for advancing. So, and then he emphasizes positive and negative. So, sangha tyagat, giving up bad association. The thing that destroys is getting bad association. The thing that furthers it, giving up is bad. So, sangha tyagat, that sangha is asatsanga. And following in the footsteps of the acharyas. So that's the 6 things that further it. And then the next 3 are about the relation between devotees, which is so important. Dadati priti lakshanam, the loving affair, loving exchanges. Dadati pratigunati guyamakyati prichati bhunkte bodhiyate chaiva shadbadham. 6 shadbadham priti lakshanam. So these loving exchanges begins with giving gifts and accepting gifts. What do you have? You're a simple brahmachari. So I always like to give a shloka, which I consider my most valuable possessions. If you know what's our real most valuable possession? The Hare Krishna mantra, and it's coupled with our desire to chant it. That's the most valuable thing. You know the story with Sanatana Goswami and the Chintamani Gem. He had what Prabhupada would call a touchstone, philosopher's stone that changes everything to gold. He was keeping it in the trash heap, and he's chanting Hare Krishna on the bank of the Yamuna. So this fellow had heard that Sanatana Goswami had this valuable jewel, so he showed up in Vrindavan and he asked him, he offered us a basin, very respectful. I heard you have this jewel. And Sanatana Goswami stopped his japa and he said, yes, I do, So can I see it? He said, oh, it's over there in the trash where we throw all of the old cups and plates. Really? So he goes there, he digs around, and there it is, shining. And he tries it out on this stone. That stone, it turns to gold, So he says, oh, Swami, this is very wonderful. So Sanatana says, oh, if you want it, you can have it. The guy said, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. So he puts it carefully in his pouch and he starts walking. But then, by the influence of the Dham, because he's sitting in Vrindavan, he wondered. Krishna gave him a thought. He says, my God, if he's keeping this invaluable stone, I can get billions of dollars with this, and he's keeping it in the trash, he must have something even more valuable. So he goes back to Sanatana Goswami, he offers his dandavats, he says, Maharaj, great saint, this is my doubt, this is my speculation. That if you're keeping this wonderful philosopher's stone in the trash, then you must have something more valuable. And Sanatana says, yes, I do have something more valuable. And says, can I see it? Can I? What is it? He said, well, I can give it to you also, but you have to take that philosopher's stone and throw it into the Yamuna. So now came the moment of truth. Does he have faith in this great soul? And so, being blessed by Krishna, he did, and he threw that into the Yamuna, and Sanatana Goswami gave him the holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, which is said, Nama Chintamani Krishna. It's actually just like the Chintamani jewel, because if you chant it, you contemplate it, it will transform you from iron-like Maya into gold-like Krishna consciousness. So, how did I get into that? Yes, the dadati pratigunati. So receiving, that's the greatest gift you can get. And the spiritual master doesn't want anything in return except your faith. Lord Chaitanya has opened the marketplace of the holy name, and he's giving it out for the price of your faith. Obviously, faith means that you'll chant it, you know. So anyway, but giving gifts, if you get a little something, you know, and that gift can be prasadam, that's another one of the things, giving prasadam and accepting prasadam. So these are also in the material world, you know. If you want, I heard Prabhupada give a lecture on these, and he said, yes, if you want to do some business with someone, you know, you invite your customer to, you know, suppose you're running a business and you want to sell him some wholesale, you know. You invite him to a restaurant and you go for a dinner like that. You know. So, but for devotees, you know, giving gifts, receiving gifts, inquiring confidentially and revealing one's mind, and of course giving prasadam and receiving prasadam. So then the question arises, well, how do I see who's, you know, different levels of devotees? That's important to understand, and that's the next verse. Krishneti yasigaditam manasadriyeta dikshasi chet pradhanabhishcha bhajandamisham shushushaya bhajana vigyam ananyamanyaninyadi sunyavidimipchada sangalabhya. So someone who chants the word Krishna once, even once, on the street, you're doing Harinam and they say Krishna, then within one's mind one should offer respects. Because this person has, you know, after many millions and millions of births, he's begun his devotional life. Because once you begin chanting, you can't stop. And eventually it fructified. So, and so many millions of births of karma eradicated. They don't know, generally, you know. So, but that's the first thing. And if someone has taken initiation, indicating seriousness, then we physically offer obeisance, just like we do Vanchakalpatarubhischa. But if someone is bhajana vigyam, means that he's realized, there's some actual realization of advancement and attraction to Krishna. And the evidence is that he's completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. That's mentioned there. Then one should shushushaya, one should ardently hear from such a person and serve. The word shushushaya means both. To hear instructions and to take those instructions to heart and serve the instructions and serve the person. Shushushaya bhajana vigyam. Vigya means realized knowledge in his bhajan. Ananya nindadi sunyavidam ipsata sangalabhya. One should highly covet their association. This, you know, advanced devotees like that. So different levels. And then he warns us not to judge a devotee by the externals. Here he uses the idea, he says, Drishta swabhava janitaya vapashasta dosha na prakratattamiha bhakta janasya pashet. Gangama samnakama buddhutapena pankar brahma davattamavagachadi niradharnai. This all comes from chanting this every day when I was in there. You know, they can become party. So, drishta swabhava janitaya. So one should see the swabhava, the actual nature of the person, not the externals. And he gives the example of, he says dosha, specifically if someone is ill, you know, there's some disease. I remember when I was in a festival in Russia, I got to go to Russia twice. Once there was this big festival on the Black Sea, and over 1,000 devotees had gathered from the western part of Russia. It's such a huge country that there's no question from the east. It's like 8,000 miles away or something. But it was a lot of devotees, and so I noticed that, you know, there was a crippled devotee who could hardly get out of his chair, you know, and there were others who were walking really funny. They had some kind of MS or something, you know, whatever it is, cerebral palsy. And so you really get to see, when you see a lot of devotees gathered in one spot, and that, yeah, just like the people at large, sometimes it's these serious diseases, you know. So anyway, he's saying that one should not judge a devotee by the externals. He gives the example of a disease, but in, you know, race or birth especially. And he says, just like in the rainy season, the Ganges, all kinds of things flow into there, mud, bubbles, dead bodies, you know. But the wise person will say, oh, the Ganges, you know, is not polluted. It can never be polluted, and you'll still take bath in the Ganges. So you still try to associate with devotees and engage in these six loving exchanges, no matter who they are, you know, externally. That's a big thing. And then those two, and then there's the 6 and the 7 and 8, which are Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapya Vidya Pito Pataptana Sarasana Rochikanu Kin Padanadanun Inankara Saiva Justa Swadri Kumar Bhavati Tadgaramula Hanti. And that means that the holy name, qualities, pastimes, form of Krishna, and descriptions of them are by nature very sweet, just like sugar candy. But because we have the hepatitis of ignorance, we've got the jaundice. That jaundice covers our tongue with the jaundice of ignorance, and therefore they taste very bitter. But we should know that if we still, being determined and patient, we regularly hear and chant Kintvadanat Anudinang, daily, regularly, that sweetness will return. In other words, we will be cured of the disease of ignorance, and our senses will again experience the real sweetness of all of these things of Krishna consciousness. So a very important verse. It kind of complements the verse in the Gita, Vishayabhane Vartantena Daharasya Dehina, Vasavrajam Vasobhyasya Padam Dushanabhartade, which says that if one gives up the objects of the senses, and niraharas, it literally means don't consume them. One can stay like that for some time, but the rasa is still there. The taste for these things is still there. So that's a false renunciation. It's not a deep renunciation. But if one sees the Lord or perceives Him directly, which we have an opportunity to do in Krishna consciousness, chiefly through the holy name, but also so many other things. If you see, directly perceive the Supreme, meaning Krishna, and get a taste, then the rasa itself is gone. So getting that taste is all important. And that's what this verse is all about. Is that you, in order to get the taste, as we learn in the second chapter, first canto, you serve the pure devotees. It says, Shushusho, again the word Shushusho, Vasudeva Kata Ruchi. Ruchi means taste. Vasudeva Kata means Krishna Kata. Taste for Krishna Kata. In other words, the sweetness is beginning to return. And you really, you find yourself in a nice environment with devotees who are chanting, and the time just goes like that. Because you're not getting satiated. It's not like a material thing. So that comes from serving the great devotees, basically hearing them, following instructions. So that's what this verse is about, is that, yes, we should know that Syat Krishna Nama Charita Adi means his name, qualities, form, and pastimes, and descriptions of those, are by nature very sweet. And we read all over the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the CC, the Bhagavatam also, and Nectar Devotion, so many examples of devotees who are just enthralled, with hearing about Krishna and chanting about Krishna. So that's the basic principle of advancement. So with that taste having returned, then he gives the 8th verse. We just read the 9th verse. It says, Tan nama rupa charitadi sukirtananu smityo kamena rasana manasi niyoja. That his name, Krishna's name, Tan nama rupa, form, charitadi, and the character and the pastimes, hearing and chanting about them, sukirtananu, nicely chanting, and therefore remembering. Chanting, of course, means hearing and remembering. Smityo, kramena, step by step, manasa niyoja, engaging one's tongue and one's mind. Okay, so where are we doing this? Tannama rupa chaditari sukirtanano smityo kramena manasa rasana manasini tishtan vraje, being situated in Vrindavan, because the whole thing it's really very internal. Tadanugami tistam vraje, tadanugami, how does it go? Oh, here. I haven't chanted this one in a while. Tishtam vraje tadanuragi jananugami. So, tadanuragi jananugami, this means it's raganuga. Raganuga, it's actually raganuga, means following in the footsteps of one who is already the jana, or the persons who are already ragis, attached. Jananugami, following the anuragis. One should spend time this way. Kalam negata kilamipjubadeshan. Should fully utilize one's time. In other words, this is for those who live in Vrindavan, basically, and who are associating with very advanced devotees who live there, and one should follow them, learn their mood, like that, and just contemplating your own specific mood in relation to Krishna, your rasa. This is the Upadesha Sadham. So this is the Upadesha Amrita, and this is the essence of all advice, is to do that. Now, how does that pertain to us? Well, Prabhupada explains. Of course, he's the anuragi who we're following. And so Srila Prabhupada's mood is certainly that, yes, we should always remember Krishna and chant His holy name, but at the same time, preach. It's not, and you can live in Vrindavan, it's mentioned elsewhere, in your mind. Prabhupada, he came to America, and he's sitting on 26 Second Avenue. I know Second Avenue. I used to drive up and down that road, not up and down, just down. It goes south. And it's like all the trucks and the noise and everything. So you can hear that through the door. Have you ever heard of those 66 lectures, And so, Prabhupada came from the rippling Yamuna. He's sitting, and literally on the banks with the Radha Damodar temple. It's just, I think, very, very near it. And in the ideal, situation. But he gave all that up and came to sit on the rushing river of pollution and truck sounds. 26. Why did he do that? For us. Because he had the order to preach from his spiritual master, and he had Lord Chaitanya's prediction, and do or die. I'm 69 years old, get on and did it, and it was amazing. It was, but he said, even though I'm sitting here physically, he didn't use those words, but I'm still in Vrindavan, because he's always thinking of Vrindavan. If you're always remembering Krishna in Vrindavan and his activities and pastimes, that's where you're actually living. So wherever he went, and then that famous statement from Advaita Acharya to Lord Chaitanya. Because Lord Chaitanya tried to go to Vrindavan as soon as he took sannyas. And he fasted for 3 days. He was walking with Nityananda. And he was just chanting the holy name, remembering Krishna. But Nityananda wanted to bring him back because nobody got a chance to say goodbye to him. He went off to, I forget where it was. I forget, but it was some distance from Navadvip. Shaved his head, took sannyas, and then he had a few with him, Nityananda, Mukunda, Gadadhar, and then he was ready to go to Vrindavan, and he started going to Vrindavan. What about all of the Navadvip Vasis, your mother, they have no chance. So they tricked him to, because he was in this trance. So Nityananda had the boys, when he came to the Ganges in Bengal, he said to the boys, tell him it's the Yamuna, So, and Lord Janana told him, and so he dove into the Yamuna. He chanted the verse glorifying the Yamuna and dove in, But Advaita had been told to come with a rowboat, to come and then take him home, where his wife was cooking him a fabulous feast, and then he would invite all the devotees. So anyway, it's a long story. It's very sweet. And Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya thought he was bathing in the Yamuna. He accused Nityananda of cheating him. And Advaita said, no, because in Prayag, the Yamuna and the Ganges flow together. And Yamuna comes from the southwest, and the Ganges from the northeast, and then they flow down. So if you're bathing in the western side of this river here, of the Ganges, so that's still the Yamuna, because the water has come away. Anyway, so Lord Chaitanya surrendered to that. So, I totally forgot how we got onto that. But Prabhupada, so it says Tishtan Vrajay. Well, does that mean we all have to go to Vrindavan? Well, obviously Prabhupada didn't want that. He wanted us to manifest the Vrindavan mood in every temple. And that's the whole idea. There's Krishna and Radha, he's standing there with the flute, and the books are there. So if we can remember and we turn this into the Vaikuntha and Vrindavan mood, then we're actually living in Vrindavan. You can remember. So that's the Tishtam Vrajay. And follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, always chant Hare Krishna, remember Krishna, speak about Krishna, give Krishna. But at the same time, preach. And once a year, this was his ideal, go on pilgrimage and actually live there for some time. So that's more or less where we are. And now we've come to 6:35. Any comments or questions?
Well, as you're describing these things...
oh, yeah, we got a mic.
I saw the other day on the Hare Krishna. Anyways, I'm thinking about a person with dementia. And I remember my grandmother would be watching television before she passed, and she would see, my uncle, he was on the farm team for the Padres back in the 60s.
He was what?
He was on the farm team for the Padres.
Oh, really? Baseball. All right.
And she would see a baseball game or something, a commercial with baseball players, and she'd say, oh, there's Roger. And she really believed this, that she was watching her son on television. And she would see like a car race or something. Oh, there's Robert, in her mind.
Because you were doing car races.
Say again?
You were doing car races, and he was doing baseball?
Well, I do automobile repairs. So she would see something
associated
with automobiles. She would, identify it with me.
Yeah.
And in her mind, this was where she was really, she was experiencing these things.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's kind of like similar, that we can actually go places, and be there. Yeah,
I feel hesitant to draw too close an analogy between that, but it is a fact when you're thinking, because Krishna is non-different from thinking about him. Just like it's totally inconceivable. How is his name totally equivalent to him? I mean, it's hard to comprehend that. Krishna, and God is there, Of course, the pure chanting, but even the pure chanting, it seems impossible. But when it comes to things that are what we call absolute, which means purely spiritual, then the usual barriers of time and place don't pertain. The fact is that if we call upon Krishna purely and we hear his name purely, then he's actually present there, because he's already all pervasive by his energies and by his expansions. And Goloka eva nivasatchikilapna bhuto, it's described directly that in Brahma Samhita, that although he's in Goloka, he's in the hearts of all. And those who have love for him can always see him there. That's like the verse right near to that. So I mean, that's like a breathtaking concept, because it means that we have the feeling that God is far away, and how can I know him? Even if he exists, how does he pertain to me? Because you fall into that illusion by the influence of materialistic philosophy. But the actual reality is that God is closer to us than our very self. He's in our heart. He's in every atom. And he's able to simultaneously exist. When he comes down, and 5,000 years ago, it's not like he's absent from Goloka. He's just expanded, So the access is always there. And the pure devotees who are 24 hours a day at every second remembering Krishna, relishing his pastimes in the heart, that's where they're really living, and they're seeing the whole world in relationship to Krishna. And so in that way, you're never separated. That's the reality. But for us, it takes a mental adjustment. We need to hear more and more, and try to apply the philosophy. And the real, way in which we can gradually realize is by using those things that we come in touch with for Krishna's service. That's the essence of vairagya, of what is it called? Yukta vairagya. Yukta vairagya. Vairagya in bhakti yoga. So of course there's a verse. It says, anasaktasya vishayan yataham apayunjata nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So not being attached to the objects of the senses, anasaktasya vishayan, that's what that literally means. Yataham apayunjata, but where appropriate, engaging them in the service of Krishna. Yataham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe. So you remain unbound from your attachment to these things. You're not attached to them for your own self. You may be attached to them because they're objects of service for Krishna. But that means that Krishna sambandhe, you're getting attached to Krishna. You're not getting attached to this, the thing. So, yuktam vairagya, that's called yukta vairagya, which is what we practice. Detachment in yoga. Detachment without yoga is impossible. You can do it for a while, but the inside the attachment is still there. But if you really use valuable things that ordinarily you would try to enjoy for Krishna's enjoyment, then you get so much pleasure from Krishna's enjoyment, because we're part and parcel of him, that you're not attached to the things anymore. You're only attached to them insofar as they can be used in Krishna's service. So that in that way, the pure devotee is using all his facilities, including his mind and his intelligence in Krishna's service, remembering Krishna, So that's where you actually live. So that's how we can stay in Vrindavan all the time. Okay, we need to adjourn at 6:40. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Next Monday, text 10.